Welcome to Hit or Miss. Today we're taking a look at Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And I gotta say, wow, this game is amazing. I did not know really coming into this game what to expect, considering I wasn't really a big fan of Breath of the Wild. I tried so many times, time and time again, and it just never clicked for me. But I said, you know what? Let me give Tears of the Kingdom let me give it a shot, because maybe something will be different. And by God, it was different. It was completely different. And it was a different in a good way. And I read that a lot from reading other people's comments on people who were pretty much like me, where we tried out Breath of the Wild and it didn't click for us no matter how much we tried. And so coming into this one, something just changed immediately. It was just like a light bulb just flicked on, and everything just clicked for the game in general. And that's pretty much the best way I can describe Tears of the Kingdom for me coming into all of this. So first, let's start with the narrative. I'm gonna be honest. It's not really amazing. It's not bad either, but it's just, at least from everything that because spoiler alert, I'm not really a big like Zelda person. I haven't really played many of them at all, but I do at least know the story beats from what I've seen people say in the past. And it's pretty much, hey, you go and beat Ganon and you clap your hands and woo, all right, game over. And that's pretty much how this game is. It's not like your mind's about to be blown, like something drastically is going to change in the story. It's not really anything like that. The dialogue is all right. I didn't really cringe. I didn't really like roll my eyes or anything, but it wasn't like anything that was the Last of Us quality. It wasn't anything among that. But if I'm being completely honest, I don't really think people are coming into this game for a story, to be honest. I mean, especially when a story is pretty generic and it's pretty samey for every type of game that they release. I don't think that this game is where like, oh my God, I need to know if they beat Ganon or not. When, I mean, that's pretty much how every game is. You beat Ganon and then you just do it all again. You just wonder what happens this time where you have to fight Ganon once again. So like I said, it's not amazing. It's not bad. Now moving on to the highlight of the game, of course, it's the gameplay. I'm not going to, I don't need to really like hype it up. I don't think I need to be a hype man for this, but it's amazing. It's actually amazing. It clicked with, like, I guess my inner child with all the things that they allow you to do. They give you pretty much full creativity to just go about how you want in this game. And I just love that for it. For me, when I first came into Breath of the Wild, and I'm going to compare it a little bit to that just because of my experience from there coming into this one, Breath of the Wild pretty much starts you off with, you have amnesia, you wake up from like 100-year sleep, and you're pretty much directionless, and it's not really too great. It's kind of annoying at times, but it's not the worst thing in the world. But the problem I had was I wasn't teased enough with enough story to really care. Because you got to remember, I'm coming in as someone that never played like Zelda really at all. I played the Nintendo 64 games when I was a kid, but I dropped them because I couldn't figure it out. I was too stupid. I was just too dumb to actually figure out Ocarina at a time. So I said, you know what, fuck Zelda. I'm not playing this again. And then fast forward to now, I'm trying it out again. And so when I came into Breath of the Wild, I was like, man, what the fuck is going on here? Why am I just like randomly out here? And I kind of chalk it up to wrong place, wrong time with me not really being able to click with the game. I mean, even now, I still wasn't able to click with me. I don't think it ever was going to. But this isn't me trying to say that Breath of the Wild was bad. It just wasn't for me. But I say all this for people who are in my same situation that are on the fence. They're like, man, Breath of the Wild didn't really click for me, but maybe Tears of the Kingdom could. And I tell you, I say give it a shot. Straight up, just give it a shot. I definitely think that there is a good chance that you'll enjoy it. I feel like they addressed a lot of the concerns, at least from my perspective, on what I had issues with coming into Breath of the Wild. They have at least a better story starting off with the game. You have like a better understanding of what your purpose is, what you're doing. The tutorial island, I know a lot of people don't really care too much for it. Some actually dislike it, but I had fun. Again, for me coming in that never really experienced Breath of the Wild, I had no problems with all of this. Just experiencing everything for the first. It's like the way that I can describe my experience is like someone who came into Breath of the Wild for the first time. Except that's my experience coming into Tears of the Kingdom for the first time. I get to experience the Sky. Now, granted, I know the Sky Islands wasn't in Breath of the Wild, but just roll with me for a second. But experience the Sky Islands for the very first time, actual Hyrule, going into all the different regions, the different areas. All of that is just an amazement. And to add on top of that with the game not holding your hand, they just say, hey, you need to go to these areas. However you do it, that's up to you. And that's amazing. I love it. So when you go into like shrines, right? There's no real, there's a direct, obvious way on how you're supposed to do things, but the game doesn't tell you that you have to do it like this. And that's one of the biggest benefits to it, is because your hand is not being held, and it's not like a Rockstar game where you have to do it the exact way. And if you go off the path, then it's like mission failed. No. If you want to sit there and do the most outrageous, craziest shit ever to get to your objective, you can. The game doesn't care. As long as you get there, you're fine. There's speed runs where people have finished this game and I think within like 90 minutes or something. That's fucking wild. So I already know the speed running scene is going to be crazy for this. I just can't praise that enough. Like, this is really fun, the game. And I just mean like fun. Like, you go into this, you are going to have a good time. You will not sit there and be like, oh man, this is so boring. Especially like a lot of triple A's these days where they just pad things out. There's so much unnecessary jank, bugs, there's glitches. None of that. For my entire time playing through, I haven't had a single bug yet. I haven't had a single glitch. There hasn't been a single moment where I'm like, oh, what the hell is going on here? No, like, this game is so polished. And I mean, of course, you can sit there and look at the downsides of the hardware and that, because it's on the Switch, that, you know, it doesn't always hit 30 FPS and things like that. But for what's in this game, it's even a miracle that it even makes it up to 30 most of the time. Again, it's not to excuse Nintendo and the shitty performance that can come because they're stuck in the archaic age and they're using old ass hardware. But the developers are working with what they got. Let's just be real here. You can only put so much blame on performance to the developers until you look at it, what they're being stuck with and what they have to make work. If this was on PC, yes, I know there's emulators, but if this was like a native PC port, this shit would look fucking gorgeous. Imagine 120 hertz, HDR, 4K. The game is saved by the art direction, and that's what really makes it still look pretty decent, even though it's not like amazing overall when you start to really look at it. But it still looks good enough to where you're not like, my eyes bleed, I can't believe I'm looking at this. Like, it's passable. It's good enough. It looks great regardless, and it has its moments where it does shine in certain scenes, certain lighting. You know, the whole scenery just shines. Now, added on top of that, for players who are now coming back into Tears of the Kingdom that originally played Breath of the Wild, there's a lot for you to do. There's so much to do. Again, I don't really want to get into too many spoilers. You do have a lot of different things that can help you build stuff. You've probably seen it on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, your favorite content creator. They're making some wild ass shit that they can do to finish objective, get to a location. There's a lot of things you can do, and it just embraces you to be creative and just make things. You have items that are dropped around the map where you can put them together. They have a function where you can rewind time, and that was what clicked for me at the beginning of the game. Was to say, hey, rewind. You can rewind stuff. I was like, say less. You got me sold. I'm going to keep playing this game. And while I talk about all this, I got a big smile on my face. I'm just so excited to talk about this because it's very rare that I find a game where I just want to keep sinking time into, especially when I go lay down and I'm just thinking about wanting to play it again. Like, that is super rare. There are not many games that do that for me these days. And I really wish there were more like that, but I understand that there's a lot of slop that gets released these days, and the whole goal is to just try and get as much money out of you as possible. Breath of the Wild, you pay for your game, you pay your $70, you're good. There's no microtransactions. There isn't like artificial things that try and make you have to spend more money so you can improve your gameplay experience. None of that. It is just a great open world, single player experience. And I wish more games would take cues from this and learn that you don't have to fill up your games with so many greedy, money-grubbing type of tactics to try and get you to spend money. Games don't need that, especially single-player games. And I hope that this game, because it's almost at 10 million sales already, and that's fucking insane. And it's probably going to keep just doing numbers after numbers after numbers. I hope the developers and publishers see this and like, oh my God, wow, this is crazy. But because people still spend so much money and there are whales who don't mind spending it, I don't see anything changing from that regardless. So that's kind of sad. But again, this whole game is just a great package. It's definitely a hit from me. I highly recommend you go buy it. This game is, I can tell you straight off, right off the rip, it's not going to get cheaper than $70 anytime soon. You might get like a holiday sale where you get like $5 off or maybe 10, but that's the lowest it'll ever go. Nintendo's stingy. They don't like lowering the price of anything. And with how well this game is selling, I don't see it going lower anytime soon. So if you're on the fence of buying it, I highly recommend you just go buy it now. And if you don't end up liking it, you can just resell it for almost the same amount of money that you paid for. So that is one bright side of buying a Nintendo game. But yeah, I'm so excited to go back into this game. I'm going to keep playing it now, even though I've already finished it. There's still so much side content to do. There's just so much in general that there's like to catch up on. I didn't really speak on it earlier. I don't really want to go too much into it, but there are 3 ways to tackle this game. You have the level ground, you have the sky islands, and then you have the depths. And that's like a whole underground, so a huge underground area to explore. And it just adds to the sheer size of how big this game is in general. So there are a lot of things to still do in this game. I don't think there's any chance that you'll get bored within at least getting 30 hours into the game or so. I want to say that's about so far how much time I put into it. Either 30, 25 to 30, 25 to 40 hours almost. So I've been putting in a fuckload of hours, and I'm probably going to keep putting more hours into it soon. So yeah, great game overall. That's all I got for you. Have a great day. Yeah.